Most men never hear this truth, not because it's hidden, but because it's uncomfortable. There's a reason some women never forget a man, long after the relationship ends, long after the messages stop. It's not his money, not his looks, not even his words. It's how he made her feel when no one else was watching. Some men rush, some men take. But a rare man listens with his presence, with his patience, with his touch. And when a woman feels genuinely prioritized, something changes inside her. She opens, she trusts, she bonds. This isn't about technique. It's about intention. And intention creates emotional power most men never learn. If you've ever wondered why some men are deeply desired while others are easily forgotten, stay with me till the end. This may change how you see intimacy forever. Comment your location where you're watching from, subscribe to the channel for more truth they don't teach men. When we talk about confidence, most people imagine volume, dominance, or bravado, but real confidence is quieter than that. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need validation. It shows up in how a man gives his attention without anxiety and how he stays present without rushing toward an outcome. A confident man isn't obsessed with proving himself. He's grounded enough to focus on the experience he's creating. That shift from performance to presence is where everything begins to change. In psychology, insecurity is often revealed through urgency. When someone feels unsure of their value, they hurry. They push. They seek reassurance through results rather than connection. Confidence works in the opposite direction. It slows things down. It allows curiosity to replace control. A man who is secure doesn't ask, "Am I enough?" He asks, "Are you comfortable? Are you enjoying this?" That question alone signals emotional maturity. And emotional maturity is deeply attractive because it feels safe. What many men misunderstand is that giving is not submission. Giving is leadership. It requires awareness, restraint, and emotional strength. To prioritize another person's experience means you trust your own worth enough not to center yourself every moment. Philosophically, this aligns with the idea that power is not force, but influence. And influence is built through understanding, not demand. When a woman senses that a man is attentive rather than performative, her nervous system relaxes. Attraction deepens not because she's impressed, but because she feels seen. There's also a deeper truth here that often goes unspoken. Confidence isn't about what you do, it's about why you do it. If attention is given to manipulate, it's felt immediately. But when attention is given from genuine interest, it creates connection. Humans are remarkably sensitive to intention. We respond not just to actions, but to the emotional meaning behind them. A man who gives from wholeness communicates without words, "I am not afraid of closeness." And that message carries weight. This is why men who lead with presence stand out so strongly. In a world conditioned toward distraction and self-focus, someone who can remain engaged, patient, and emotionally available feels rare. That rarity isn't about technique or strategy, it's about inner stability. When you are not at war with yourself, you don't need to dominate the moment. You can shape it gently, intelligently, and with purpose. So if there's one insight to take with you, let it be this: confidence is not proven by how much you take, but by how calmly and intentionally you give. When you stop chasing validation and start creating experience, people don't just notice you, they remember you. And that is where real influence begins. When we talk about emotional bonds, we often underestimate how deeply they are tied to understanding rather than words. Many people believe connection is built through conversation alone, but psychology tells us something more subtle is at work. Humans bond most strongly when they feel accurately perceived. When someone understands not just what we say, but how we respond, what we need, and what makes us feel safe, attachment begins to form almost automatically. This is especially true in intimate dynamics where vulnerability is high and trust is fragile. For many women, emotional connection does not start in the mind alone. It starts in the body's response to feeling respected and prioritized. When a man pays close attention to her reactions, her comfort, and her emotional cues, he communicates something powerful without ever saying it out loud. You matter here. That message lowers defenses. Neuroscience shows that when a person feels understood, oxytocin increases, stress decreases, and emotional openness expands. This is not romance in a poetic sense. It's biology responding to safety. Understanding, however, requires patience. It means slowing down enough to notice patterns, pauses, and subtle shifts. Most people listen to respond, not to understand. But emotional intelligence is revealed in the willingness to observe without rushing to conclusions. When a man takes time to learn what makes a woman feel relaxed, excited, or emotionally connected, he moves from surface level interaction into something far deeper. She begins to feel emotionally held, not managed or analyzed, but genuinely supported. There is also a philosophical layer to this. To understand another person is to step outside the ego. It requires humility, curiosity, and restraint. You accept that the other person's experience is not an extension of your own, but a world worth learning. This is why understanding creates bonds stronger than charm ever could. Charm impresses temporarily, understanding stays. It signals maturity, self-awareness, and an ability to sustain connection over time. What often gets overlooked is how rare this quality has become. In a culture that rewards speed, conquest, and self-promotion, the ability to slow down and attune to another person feels almost revolutionary. When a woman encounters someone who is emotionally present rather than distracted or self-focused, the contrast is immediate. She feels chosen, not competed for. That emotional shift transforms attraction into attachment. And here's the deeper truth: understanding is not about perfection. It's about effort and consistency. People don't expect to be read flawlessly. They want to feel considered. When mistakes happen, understanding allows for repair instead of distance. It creates a bond resilient enough to grow rather than fracture under pressure. So reflect on this as you move forward. Emotional bonds are not built by intensity alone, but by attention sustained over time. When you choose to understand rather than impress, you don't just create connection. You become someone others feel safe growing with. And that choice, repeated daily, changes everything. Attraction that lasts is rarely created by intensity alone. Intensity can spark interest, but it fades quickly when it's not supported by meaning. What keeps desire alive over time is the feeling that an experience is mutual, intentional, and emotionally grounded. When a man prioritizes a woman's satisfaction, emotionally, mentally, and physically, he creates a dynamic where attraction stops being reactive and becomes chosen. That distinction matters more than most people realize. Psychologically, humans are drawn to experiences where they feel valued rather than evaluated. Many interactions fall into a silent competition. Who is impressing whom? Who has the upper hand? Who cares less? But when satisfaction is prioritized, that competition dissolves. The focus shifts from self-protection to shared experience. A woman senses when she is not being rushed, measured, or used as a means to an end. That sense of being fully included builds trust, and trust is the foundation of lasting attraction. There's also a deeper principle at work here. Desire grows where there is freedom. When someone feels pressured to perform, respond, or give back immediately, desire contracts. But when satisfaction is offered without demand, something opens. Philosophically, this reflects the idea that genuine connection cannot be extracted. It must be invited. A man who prioritizes her experience communicates that he is not dependent on outcomes for his sense of worth. That independence is magnetic because it creates space rather than tension. What's often misunderstood is that prioritizing her satisfaction does not diminish a man's value. It amplifies it. Leadership in relationships is not about control, but about direction. When you guide an experience toward mutual fulfillment, you demonstrate emotional strength and clarity. You show that you are capable of holding space for another person without losing yourself. This balance, attentive but grounded, is what separates fleeting attraction from lasting desire. Over time, this approach changes how a woman associates you emotionally. She doesn't just remember what happened. She remembers how she felt in your presence. Memory is emotional before it is factual. If she consistently feels relaxed, desired, and respected with you, Her nervous system begins to associate you with safety and pleasure. That association deepens attachment naturally, without force or persuasion. It's important to recognize that this is not about perfection or constant intensity. It's about consistency. People don't need grand gestures every time, they need reliability of care. When satisfaction is prioritized regularly, it builds emotional continuity. That continuity creates trust, and trust allows desire to evolve rather than disappear. Passion that feels safe doesn't burn out, it matures. In a world where many seek attention, the person who offers presence stands apart. When you choose to prioritize satisfaction over validation, you stop chasing attraction and start cultivating it. And here's the thought to leave with you. Lasting attraction isn't something you demand or perform for. It's something you create by how intentionally you make others feel. When you lead with care, desire follows.